Hello and welcome back to another video where today we will be going over the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity expansion pass, and I'll be giving some ideas of what we could see. So let's start off with the pre-purchase bonus that you get on May 28th. The things you get in this are a newly added weapon for Link and a new costume for Link. So for the new weapon, I think we could potentially see a elemental weapon, but I don't think it'll be an elemental weapon that is maybe like fire, ice, or lightning. I think maybe there could be a wind one. Maybe it's made for this game specifically, because we don't have a wind element. And I think that could work quite well, maybe with like crowd control, like when you swing the weapon, when you say at full health, you do more damage, or a bigger gust of wind comes out, and then the less health you lose, the lower the attack power. So that's something I could see happening, and it would also be a very unique weapon for Link to wield. So moving on to the costume for Link, I think we could see the ancient armor, as it is, I think, the only base Breath of the Wild outfit that we don't have in the game, and I feel like it would be a pretty unique outfit, kind of like in Breath of the Wild itself. Maybe in Age of Calamity you take less damage from Guardian laser beams. That's something that I could see happen when you wear it, even though in Age of Calamity you don't actually get any effects wearing outfits. So maybe it would just be a cosmetic change like all the other outfits are. Okay, so now let's move on to Wave 1, which is coming in June, and in it you get an expanded roster, newly added weapon types, new challenges in the Royal Ancient Lab, and newly added challenging enemies. So with the expanded roster, it's safe to say that Purah and Robbie will be probably the first two characters added, as not only are they in the artwork that was in the trailer, but back in December, I think, of 2020, there was a data mine for Age of Calamity, and there were voice clips of certain characters shouting Purah and Robbie's name, which happens when you switch characters. So, like, say if you change from Zelda to Link, Zelda will say Link, and then you change the character. So there were some included for Purah and Robbie. And now, talking about their movesets, I think Purah will use a Sheikah Slate similar to what Zelda had before she got the Bow of Light, as going back to the artwork in the trailer, you can see Purah is actually holding a Sheikah Slate, and as Zelda doesn't really use the Sheikah Slate anymore, she's got her Bow of Light. I think it'll be good to incorporate some of Zelda's moves into Purah, but also giving Purah like a whole new moveset as well. Like, for example, if Purah uses some of the runes, they can recharge really quick, because obviously she's been studying the Sheikah Slate and the Sheikah technology. So maybe that could be Purah's moveset, and Robbie's moveset could possibly be using the ancient weapons. And that could be the reason why Link doesn't have many ancient weapons in the game, is because Nintendo and Koei Tecmo were saving it for Robbie's moveset. Moving on to the newly added weapon types, I think we'll just get the DLC weapons from Breath of the Wild put into the game, and they'll maybe be spread out between the different characters, like maybe some of the heavy clubs will go to Daruk, for example. That's the only thing I can think of for the newly added weapon types. For the new challenges in the Royal Ancient Lab, I think this could be the way of unlocking the new characters. Like, maybe you can fight through, maybe there's two separate rounds or challenges, and you could, with the first one you get Purah, you could, with the second one you get Robbie. Maybe that's how you could unlock them. I could see that happening, as both characters are tied to the Ancient Lab, so it would make total sense. Okay, and the last bit added in the Wave 1 is the newly added challenging characters, and for that I think they will be adding gold variants to the kind of like boss enemies, like the Lionels, stuff like that, because that is the only enemy type from Breath of the Wild that hasn't made it over into Age of Calamity. And I also think they will be adding new enemies as well. My top pick for new enemies they could add would maybe be the Style variants of certain enemies, and I think that would be pretty cool to see how they would handle it. Maybe if you killed them, like maybe after about 10 seconds or so, they would rebuild back together. But if you was facing like a style boss, you'd have to like find other ways of defeating them. Like maybe you'd have to like use an elemental rod or maybe an elemental weapon to finish them for good. And now moving on to Wave 2, which is coming out in November. There are new character vignettes, newly added stages, expanded roster, and new battle skills for existing characters. So the first two I think could go together, being the new character vignettes and the new stages, as maybe for the new stages they would have made new cutscenes, or maybe they would have updated some of the photos in the gallery for the new characters, even though all the characters I'm about to say already have entries in the gallery anyway. But maybe for the newly added stages, it will be like story bits. Maybe Terako goes back in time to see what other characters were doing. Like maybe we'll see what Pearl and Robbie were doing when the assault of Hyrule Castle was happening and stuff like that. I think that could be pretty interesting to see other points that we know happened, but maybe like going back in time and seeing it firsthand. And the fact that they say stages and not stage, meaning getting more than one, but I don't have any ideas what the other one could be at this point. Maybe it could be, once again, Terako goes back in time and goes to the different villages where the champions are from to see how they handled the Calamity. Maybe he could help out as well. Like maybe these new stages are only accessed by Terako. That could be pretty interesting. And sticking with the whole Terako going back in time, potentially we could see Terako goes obviously back in time, and we get to see the downfall version where Link, Zelda, and everyone doesn't win, and that timeline leads to Breath of the Wild. But I don't think we'll see that. It would be good if we did, but sadly that doesn't seem entirely realistic, as great as it would be. Okay, so moving on to the expanded roster, I think we will get 3 characters in the second wave, and that will be Suga, Astor, and Harbinger Ganon. The reason I've chose Suga and Astor is because they were actually part of the data mined characters, so it's not obvious, but it's highly likely we will get them. And the reason I chose Harbinger Ganon is because, like, all 3 in this section, I guess, they all have movesets. Like similar happened with Master Koga, they took the moves that he used in the boss fight and had it as a moveset for him when you play as him. So I could see that happening with these 3 characters. I have seen online some people saying that we could get potentially 10 characters in total because of the like slots for the characters. It'll make a perfect 28. But I personally think that that won't happen, and I'm not even sure who the other characters would be. But if you have any ideas, leave them in the comment section down below. And lastly, we have new battle skills for existing characters. Now I think this will just be adding additional combos, as if you look at the characters like ability page, there's space for them to have more, and I also think we'll be getting new abilities as well, as there's space underneath for them to write out more stuff. So that is what I could see being added as new battle skills for the characters. So if you look at everything that's being added and everything that I've speculated on, spending $20 or like 18-ish pounds is a good deal to get all this stuff, and there's potentially we could get more, like not another expansion pass, but we could get more than I speculated on. Like we could get like 10 characters, which I would be so happy with, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. I feel like I've set stuff that I predicted quite realistic, but once everything comes out I will make a follow-up video to this, pretty much going through what I said and seeing how much of this stuff I actually predicted and how much I got wrong. So that's all I have for this video. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in another video.